have you experienced any reduction in workforce within your mobility and HR group? And the second question was, were any additional responsibilities taken on in your department? So Michelle, I'm going to ask you first, if you wouldn't mind sharing, has there been any changes in the size of your workforce within mobility and HR?
No, there really hasn't. And I've actually had a lot of conversations with others in HR and across the business. We've been busier than ever. Like, this has been a crazy busy year. People are stuck and not necessarily able to complete their moves right now, but the questions and just the level of touch that we are having to provide is actually, it's ratcheted way up, and I assume a lot of organizations are the same. We do still have people moving too, so we're trying to navigate all those pieces with them. So we have not, definitely haven't downsized my team, and actually may end up adding to my team. Biogen will be growing globally, so I think there's a lot of conversations happening right now around what that philosophy will be moving forward for relocation. I'm getting the sense from the work that we're doing on the remote workers today that we will probably be taking baby steps. So I think it's going to be a change management aspect for Biogen. So I think we'll have more official full-time remote workers than we ever have, but I still don't think it'll get to even 25% kind of as a steady state even next year. So I think we're going to be on this journey, and it may change our reload volumes over time, but I don't think it's going to change them in the near term, to be honest.
Okay. And I also had a pop-up. We're going to go to Jim Carrol next, but James Wallace, I do see your message, so we'll come to you after Jim Carrol. Michelle, I want to thank you for that, because I think I remember also when you and I were having coffee earlier in the year, or right after the February roundtable, you actually had an addition to your staff at the beginning of this year, and I'm pleased that that has been able, that person has remained in function, because I know you work very diligently at filling that role. So that's great news to hear. So yeah. I want to go to Jim Carrol real quick before we move to James Wallace. Jim, you are an army of one in your mobility department. So it's really very difficult to say I'm going to size down. But what has changed in your responsibility workload?
It's interesting, yeah, because if you got rid of the one-man band, had a reduction in force, there would be no band, so that would be me. But of course, like many companies, we're extensively outsourced and have strategic partnerships with management companies and tax and immigration providers. Probably the most eye-opening experience I've had over the last 5 or 6 months is to try to understand why, on the one side, our relocation volume for 2020 is down by about 40% on the one hand, but that I don't have extensive amount of free time on my hands on the other. And I concluded, as I kind of did a task analysis, that my normal work has been replaced by the abnormal. And that kind of delves into the area of additional work. And it's around the management and resolution of issues and problems associated with the pandemic that impact the mobility of employees. Okay. And that's just the physical movement of people from one place to another, one state to another, one country to another. And so the people that we are moving, it takes longer, it's more complicated. And then the other, just as an example, anybody who touches the immigration space at all, whether it's US immigration or immigration outside the US, it's tremendously complex and time consuming. And train wreck kind of comes to mind, chaotic comes to mind, it's very difficult. And so in that regard, I'm looking forward to when things tend to normalize a little bit, when immigration restrictions ease, when travel restrictions ease, and we start moving people again, or more people again. Whether or not it will ever get back to our traditional annual volumes is honestly anyone's guess